Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. Sid, I think Real Madrid have now won, was it 9, 10 in a row in all competitions? But I want to start with the fact that they've won in different ways. And in this game, this was one game, they won by being lucky, they've won by being good, they've won by crushing the opposition. And in this one, they won, fair to say, by controlling the game and waiting for the stars to make the difference.
Yeah, and Ancelotti was very interesting about this. And I think one of the great things about Ancelotti is how calm he is about everything, but also how honest and how direct he is. There have been times in the past when I think if a Real Madrid manager said, to use this phrase that's becoming recurring now, we play in a low block and we play on the counter-attack because I want our forwards at the top of the pitch to have more space. And I think there have been times over the years when if a Real Madrid manager said that, he'd be slaughtered for it, because it would be seen as a lack of ambition, because it would be seen as not being progressive. But Ancelotti is so kind of matter of fact about it that it's accepted. It's accepted that these are the qualities that we have. These are the things that make us most dangerous, and that's fine. And I think you're right. If you look at this run, it's a 14-day run that has basically won Real Madrid the league. Now, obviously, look, there's a long way to go and all that sort of stuff. The normal caveats apply. But they've beaten Athletic, Real Sociedad, Sevilla, Atletico, and, of course, in that run, they've also beaten Inter Milan in the last 2 weeks. And when it's mattered, they've played the same starting 11 every time they've been able to. And they have won games in different ways, as you say, occasionally fortunate, occasionally on the break, occasionally through control. And this game was kind of a combination of all of those things.
Jules, we talk about control, you talk about Modric and Toni Kroos in midfield. There's a whole issue with rotation, which we'll get into later with Sid, but Modric is 36 years old.
Incredible.
He's being chased by Atleti. Have this reputation being so physical, running around, running ragged, and they look like kids out there now. Anyway,
it looked like. I mean, it's not. It looked. It just had a couple of seconds. It was a couple of seconds ahead of everybody. It's almost like he was seeing what would happen 2 seconds later before anyone else, and it was just brilliant to see him. I think in a setup like Sid and you explained that suits him far more than maybe a lot of running and a lot of intensity and going up and down all the time. I think this is perfect for him and for Toni Kroos to a certain extent, but certainly for Modric at his age and considering his game, I just thought it was magnificent. And I think when you play against him in that kind of form and Real Madrid have so much control, it's just very hard to regain that control.
Sid, I want you to help me understand Atleti a little better and Diego Simeone, because I'm a massive fan. I'm one of the people who drank the Kool-Aid and really believe that we're getting to Cholismo 2.0 because they have so many talented players and everything. And then I see this game, and I see that even, defensively, I couldn't quite work out what their setup was at the start of the game with Kondogbia playing further back. I don't know if he was trying to be clever. It feels like nothing he tries works, and when they do get points, it's because of garra or grit or moments or individuals.
Right. Well, first of all, to answer the Kondogbia question, he was playing at centre-back basically because they've got injuries. Because there was no Savic, there was no Jimenez. They really didn't have a huge amount of choice but to play him there. Although, of course, they could have played with only 2 centre-backs instead of 3 of them. It was actually a back 4 with Llorente at centre-back and Hermoso at left-back and Carrasco playing this hybrid role. But that's quite often the case with Atleti. It's not a clear-cut formation. In terms of Simeone, I think there isn't a club, with the obvious exception of Barcelona, where there's an obsession about identity, where we've talked so much about identity or shifting identity or losing identity over the last 3 or 4 years as Atletico. And it's partly, as you say, because this idea that Simeone now has different types of players that have to play in a different way, but that maybe he doesn't fully believe in it, or maybe the players don't fully believe in some of the things that he says. But I think in a way, I think we allow ourselves to be dragged into that, perhaps more than is really the case, because, for example, this year Atletico Madrid's problem isn't that people keep saying they've got to be more expansive, they've got to attack more, they've got players to play differently. Well, their problem this year is that they haven't done the old things well. They're not defending well. Yeah. They're not protecting themselves well. They're not that team that they once were. There's a nice line by Iñaki Diaz-Guerra, who's an Atletico Madrid supporting columnist in El Mundo today, and he said, what used to be a bulldog is now a caniche wearing Prada. And that's kind of part of the problem, that there's this sort of identity thing. And there's this sort of disconnect between what they were or what they thought they were and what they're becoming. And in a way, you can look at this year and possibly say, I think this might be stretching it a little bit, but I think there's some merit in it. Say that Simeone has kind of become a victim of abundance. that it almost worked better when there was this kind of underdog idea. And that by bringing more players in, that's created a need to, if you like, shift the structure, try and find a place for Rodrigo de Paul, try and find a place for Antoine Griezmann. And that changes things. And it does feel like this is a team that hasn't yet worked out exactly what it wants to be.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.